Hello everyone. This is the 30th part of the story, I'm Voldemort. Chapter 193, Leaving Hogwarts. After gaining full control of Hogwarts and learning about a possibly unfavorable prophecy, Tom and Druella returned to their dorm rooms to get a good night's sleep. With only a week of school remaining, the last days of Hogwarts went by in a flash. Of course, Tom received perfect grades for every one of his NEWTs, which was extremely rare for Hogwarts. Although, Tom wasn't the only one to get perfect grades on multiple NEWTs this year. Druella and many of his followers in his year also got either perfect or almost perfect scores as well. The headmaster said that it was the first time that so many people from the same house had such a stunning NEWTs performance. Before Tom left school for the last time as a student, he was called to the headmaster's office and given all the information he needs for the next school year. As they discussed earlier, Tom would be teaching Transmigration as a professor at Hogwarts, which hasn't been announced to the public yet. As a professor, Tom has to come up with a curriculum and assign the needed books before the Hogwarts letters are sent out. Since Tom has a perfect memory thanks to his occlumency, he decided to write his own books for his future classes. It shouldn't be hard to compile all of the information from the many books he's read and stockpiled in his mindscape. Especially since it's all compiled on a laptop, which should make everything a lot easier. The most annoying part will be finding the time to write it all down. After that, it's just bringing the books to a publisher and they can mass produce them for the coming school year. Maybe I can come up with a spell to instantly write the books? A moving quill? Isn't there a spell like that already? Tom thought, but wasn't sure as he may have overlooked that charm. I'll check later. When Hogwarts came to an end, Tom left school with Druella through the flue, with the headmaster's permission of course, and went straight to the Fluth in the Leaky Cauldron. Where are we going? Druella asked as they made their way into Diagon Alley. I have to make a stop at a shop and then we're headed to Gringotts. Tom reveals as they make their way towards Nocturne Alley. When Druella saw the entrance to Nocturne Alley, she went on alert and reached for her wand, ready to attack anyone that looked suspicious. Nocturne Alley is the most lawless place in Wizarding Britain. Many that walk in are never seen again, while some go in innocent and come out battle-hardened and broken on the inside. Although Nocturne Alley is such a dangerous place, it houses many stores and vendors that specialize in wares related to the dark arts. You could have warned me that we were heading to Nocturne Alley. Druella comments. Don't be such a baby. I'm strong enough to level all of Diagon Alley, and you're probably the strongest witch alive right now. No one in this dingy old alley is going to stand a chance against us. Tom says as they stroll into Nocturne Alley. As they pass through the entrance, they put up their hoods to disguise themselves. The second they left Diagon Alley, the atmosphere instantly changed. The upbeat hustle and bustle of Diagon Alley disappeared, as a dark and ominous ambience filled the air. Hearing Tom's encouraging words, Druella couldn't help but agree. Although she's been told all of her life how dangerous Nocturne Alley is, those dangers aren't something she has to worry about anymore. After dealing with a couple of pickpockets and a group of muggers, Tom and Druella entered a shop called Borgin and Burke's. Of course, all attackers and thieves were disposed of brutally, sending a clear sign to anyone else that wanted to do the same. As they enter the small shop, a bell on the door chimes, informing whoever works there of a customer's arrival. Looking around the shop, Tom saw a messy room filled with all sorts of dark and cursed items and books. He even saw a few human body parts laying around, which wasn't pretty. The place was a goldmine for illegal and powerful dark items. Not seeing any person manning the store, Tom and Druella started perusing the shop for anything of interest. Are you looking for anything specific? An older man says as he walks out from the back of the shop. He had black graying hair and tan wrinkling skin. The atmosphere around him was not pleasant either, which is most likely due to a lifetime of handling dark and cursed objects. Yes, I am. Tom says, not at all surprised by his entrance thanks to his enhanced senses. About 18 years ago a woman came and sold you a locket with a snake on it. I want it. Hearing what this mysterious customer said, the shopkeeper's eyes widen for a moment as he remembers that purchase. I don't know what you're talking about, but we do have an assortment of other lockets that you can look through. The shopkeeper says, diverting the conversation. Tom knows that some woman buys the locket from Borgin and Burks in the story, but he doesn't remember who. Maybe he took a bathroom break during that portion of the movie? Who knows? No, I'm not just looking for any old locket. Tom says as he approaches the counter with Druella strolling behind him. I want the one I talked about. Either you still have it and want to keep it for some reason, or you've sold it already, which is fine. I can't blame a man for doing his job, but I will be terribly offended if you don't tell me who has that locket. Now, which is it? Chapter 194, Taking Information. I can't blame a man for doing his job, but I will be terribly offended if you don't tell me who has that locket. Now, which is it? Tom asks from across the shop's checkout counter. Hearing Tom's threatening words, the older man's face hardened as he slowly reached under his black robes. Either you buy something that's for sale or I'm going to have to ask you to leave. The shopkeeper says stoically, as he grasps the handle of his wand under his robes. A tense stare-down commences as Tom and the older shopkeeper eye each other intimidatingly. While both of them were having their stare-down, Druella just stood on the sidelines, looking at the older man with pity in her eyes. If Tom were to try and steal everything in this shop, she knew that this man could do absolutely nothing to stop him. Hell, he couldn't even stop her, and she's far weaker than Tom is. Although in the standards of the wizarding world, Druella is about as strong as Voldemort in his prime. Truthfully, she may be stronger, but there haven't been many times where she can go all out and test her power in a fight. Sigh, why can't things just go smoothly? Tom mutters as he waves his hand, casting a wandless Imperius curse in the man's direction. Before Tom could ask the question once again while he was more pliable, another older-looking man came sprinting out of the back door and fired a string of multiple spells and curses in Tom's direction. Already knowing that the other man was there, Tom waves his hand once again and conjured a normal Protego shield. Normally, a simple Protego wouldn't be able to block multiple spells, but with Tom's boosted magical power and ocean-sized reserves, the attacks were easily deflected and didn't even damage the shield at all. While Tom was blocking the attack against him, Druella was not sitting idle on the sidelines. Although she was surprised by the sudden appearance of the attacker, Druella grabbed her wand almost immediately and pointed it at the man, who was firing spells at her fiancé. Crucio! She calls and the man falls to the ground, screaming in agony. Seeing that the attacker was dealt with, Tom let Druella continue her torture for a few seconds and nodded towards her. Thanks for the save, but I think he's had enough, Tom says, and as soon as Druella stops torturing the man, he shoots another Imperio in his direction. Now, do you have my locket, or did someone buy it? I sold it. The second man that attacked Tom answered with glazed eyes and a hollow look on his face. Who did you sell it to, and if you know, where does she live? Tom asked, hoping to get enough information in order to get this done within the day. I sold it to Madame Hepzibah Smith. I don't know where she lives, but I do know that she claims to be a descendant of Helga Hufflepuff, which may be true because she's very wealthy. I managed to get a mountain of galleons for that locket. He answers with the same blank look on his face. I see, thanks for the information. Tom says and was about to leave, but then he remembered something. Do you have a vanishing cabinet for sale? Stopping in his tracks, Tom peeked over his shoulder and stared at the two shopkeepers questioningly. A pair of vanishing cabinets will act as a passage between two places. If an object or person was placed in one, they will appear in the other. The cabinets seem to ward off all known defensive spells, and in the movie, they were successfully used to transport several Death Eaters from Borgin and Berks into Hogwarts School, and Graham Montague was able to apparate into Hogwarts despite the protection spells of the school normally preventing such an action. Tom can't allow an entrance like that to remain available for anyone to use. Especially since he's gained full ownership of the castle and plans on becoming headmaster in the future. Yes, it's in the back. One of the shopkeepers answer with clear signs that the Imperio is still in effect. We don't have the matching pair to it though. That's fine, Tom says and strolls back up to the counter. I'll take that cabinet off your hands as compensation for the earlier disrespect you showed me. You don't need it anyway, right? It's not like you can use it with only one of them. Not needing to hear Tom's whole explanation, as they were being mind-controlled at the moment, they went in the back without a word and soon came back, lugging a big cabinet and set it down in front of Tom. All right, your earlier attack is now forgiven, Tom says magnanimously as he places a hand on the cabinet and operates it back to his room in Camartage. Well, it was nice doing business with you. Tom and Druella stroll over to the door, and as they leave, Tom shoots a wandless obliviate in their direction, erasing their memories of what just happened for the past half an hour. Are we going to find this woman now, or are we still going to Gringotts? Druella asked as they exit Nocturne Alley. I've just tasked a few of the minions to find her and steal the locket, along with anything else that may be interesting, so Gringotts it is. Chapter 195, Gringotts. As Tom and Druella exit Nocturne Alley and assimilate back into the crowded and more friendly Diagon Alley, they both take down their hoods and make their way to Gringotts Bank. Although, the trip over there wasn't very smooth. Due to having their hoods down, Tom and Druella drew a lot of attention. Well, more along the lines of Tom drawing the attention. He is the princely hero of the wizarding world after all. Though it seems as though the populace has calmed down a bit, as they weren't swarmed as badly as the first few times they went out in public. After politely declining many of his adoring fans, who wanted his autograph or other celebrity-type questions and requests, Tom and Druella strolled into Gringotts. As soon as the goblins saw him, they immediately escorted him and Druella to a conference room, where they waited for Tom's account manager, Aluk. No more than a minute after their arrival, Aluk came walking in with a confident smirk on his face. Ever since he was lucky enough to meet Tom Riddle, Aluk has become the account manager of some of the most profitable and wealthy vaults in all of Gringotts. Throughout his time in control of Tom's vaults, Aluk has invested a good portion of his wealth in anything he thought would bring in money. Some of those investments failed, while the majority of them were thriving and pouring money into his favorite client's vault, which in return brings a portion of that money into his own vault. In the Goblin Nation, the wealthier you are, the more status you have amongst your peers, and boy was Aluk rolling in gold. He became the most well-respected and powerful goblin in Wizarding Britain, hence the shit-eating grin on his face as he entered the room. Since Tom has studied up on goblins and their culture, he had a few ideas about where that smile came from. A wealthy goblin is a happy goblin after all. Tom gets weekly reports on everything that Aluk does with his money, and knows exactly how much his account manager is making every month. Although, that doesn't mean Tom is upset about losing a portion of his money. Aluk has been working hard to fill Tom's vaults, and hard work demands an appropriate payment. Are you here why I think you're here? Aluk asks, knowing that Tom just graduated from Hogwarts. Yes, it's time that I become the lord of my houses. Tom voices exactly what his manager was thinking. When Tom first came to Gringotts, he was only allowed by law to take up his airships, not the lordships. Only after he graduated from Hogwarts could he take up his lordships and have access to the vaults pertaining to said lordships. Tom has been living off his trust vault, which wasn't bad at all since he got a good portion of money every month from each of the houses he's an heir of. You do remember that there will most likely be a trial for each one, right? Luck warns Tom. Trials? Druella asked from her seated position next to Tom. Luck has already been informed of Tom and Druella's engagement, so he didn't question as to why Tom brought another person to their meeting. When I first came to Gringotts and took the inheritance test, all of my heir rings gave me a trial of sorts to pass before they would accept me. If I didn't pass the trials, I wouldn't be able to take up the heirship. We think that the Lord Rings will do the same. Tom says and explains further in detail about the trials he went through. Are you sure you're ready to take up the Lord Rings? We could study up on this and find a way to bypass the trials. Druella voices her opinion. Nope, I've already looked through every book I've come across and haven't seen a single one that could help. It's probably best to just pass the trials. Tom says, not wanting to wait any longer. He wants to see the vaults of all these prominent houses. They don't just hold mountains of galleons, but family heirlooms and other precious items. Since Tom is the heir to the Pendragon royal family, he scoured Tintagel Castle and any other properties for the Sword of Victory itself, Excalibur. Though, that search was not fruitful, leading Tom to believe that the sword was either stored in the family vault, destroyed, or in some other undisclosed location. Not only does Tom have high hopes for the Pendragon vault, but he has expectations for the other vaults as well. The shelves full of dark arts books and other artifacts that have to be in the Lu Fei vault, not to mention whatever Salazar Slytherin has lying around in his as well. It's safe to say that these vaults are treasure troves that Tom can't wait to crack open. As for the Gaunt vault, Tom had zero hopes for anything good being inside such a poor family's vault, nor will he be putting a ring of that inbred family on his finger. Who knows what horrible curse would befall him if he were to even touch the Lord Ring from that family. All right, just be careful, Druella says, supporting her fiancé's decision. I will. Don't worry, Tom says with a reassuring smile and turns to his account manager. Bring the rings and we can get started. Chapter 196, Gringotts Part 2. Bring the rings and we can get started, Tom says, not wanting to waste time. Since time is money for any goblin, Luck acted quickly and waved his hand, conjuring the same 3 boxes that Tom remembers from his first trip to Gringotts. I take it that you plan to avoid the Gaunt Ring? Luck said as he didn't even bother conjuring it. Not only do the Gaunt vaults have nothing of value, but they don't even hold a place in the Wisengamot. After some thought over the years, Tom decided to just let the House of Gaunt die out. He's the last one alive, so no one but his children would be able to take up the rings, and even if someone did take them up, they would gain nothing but a stained legacy of a poor and hated house. Yeah, I've decided to let the House of Gaunt die out and vanish, Tom says as he puts the Gaunt family behind him and focuses on the 3 boxes across the table. I believe that I can speak on behalf of the entire Goblin Nation when I say that is the best decision for everyone. Luck commented with a truly happy smile. Now, back to business. Do you have a preference on which house to start with? Hearing Luck's question, Tom eyed the boxes for a moment and made his decision. Last time the easiest rings to gain the approval of were the Slytherin and Lu Fei rings, but who knows if the Lord Rings will be harder to impress. Tom says, automatically placing the Pendragon ring for last. Let's start with Lu Fei this time, shall we? Lux nods and slides over the Lu Fei box. As soon as Tom opens it up, he took the heir ring from his pouch and placed it back in the box. Once he becomes the Lord, he'll have no need for the heir ring anymore. That will be saved away for whenever he and Druella have their first child together. Taking a deep breath to prepare himself for whatever is to come, Tom grabs the big World Series-sized ring and slides it on his finger. The second he placed it on his finger, Tom's consciousness appeared in a dimly lit bedroom. "Oh, look what we have here," a seductive voice says as a scantily clad woman appears in front of Tom. The woman could only be described as a wicked beauty. She has pale white skin, dark black hair with matching eyes, and a sneer that would put any Malfoy to shame. Dressed in a provocative black nightgown, she sauntered over to the foot of the bed, laying sideways and eyeing Tom up and down. "Hello?" Tom says as he wasn't expecting to be given a show during his test. "You are?" Morgana, she reveals, shocking Tom slightly. "I heard you were dead," Tom says as he prepares himself for a possible battle. Am I?" she asked, shocked by this revelation. She's Morgana Le Fay, but not the real Morgana Le Fay. She's just an imprint of the real Morgana, left in the ring in case someone ever comes to take up her former position as Lady or Lord of House Le Fay. Tom can already tell that this isn't the real Morgana. Feeling her presence, Tom could only sense a bit of magic where Morgana is laying. He also knows that this isn't her soul, since he could now sense those things with his Master of Death powers. "Well, I happen to be fairly close with the person that claims to have killed you, so I'm afraid it's true. Unless, of course, you somehow faked your death, but that's very unlikely," Tom explains, causing Morgana to stop her games and stand from the bed. "Who claims to have killed me?" she asked as her flirty sneer was replaced with a questioning frown. "The Ancient One," Tom says, causing Morgana to freeze in place for a moment. "Huh?" she grunts out as she plops onto the ground, sitting there in shock and sadness. If anyone could kill her, the real her, then it would be that bald-headed BTCH. The realization set in that she may actually be dead. Her, Morgana Le Fay, the greatest dark sorceress to ever live, was killed by the woman she hated the most. Just the thought of her bald head made Morgana want to puke blood, but she can't as she is just an imprint made by magic. "Prove it." She grits her teeth as she stands from her place on the ground and stares at Tom challengingly. "Well, I might be able to," Tom says as he tries summoning the spirit of Morgana with his Master of Death powers. Suddenly, a transparent version of the imprint Morgana appeared between the two of them. "Huh? Where am I?" Ghost Morgana mutters as she surveys her surroundings. It didn't take her long to understand that she was next to the imprint left by her in the Le Fay Lord ring, or in her case, the Lady ring. "What's going on? Did one of my descendants summon me?" Ghost Morgana asks the imprint Morgana, as she sneaks a peek in Tom's direction. "It's true. I'm dead." "We're dead." "You're dead," imprint Morgana yells as she sees the proof of Tom's claims before her very eyes. Seeing her imprint freaking out, Ghost Morgana just stood there waiting for someone to explain what's going on. "Why does everything I do become so complicated? I just wanted to take my test and get my rings." Chapter 197, Gringotts Part 3. As Tom was pondering over his complicated life, Ghost Morgana started losing her patience. "One of you needs to explain to me what's going on soon, or I'm going to start throwing curses," Ghost Morgana threatens as she eyes them both. Does she know she's a ghost with no magic? Tom thought. What does it matter? We're dead. Imprint Morgana is still having a hard time coming to grips with her own mortality. Ghost Morgana eyes her with annoyance clear in her gaze and turns her inquisitive stare in Tom's direction. "I guess I can explain while she processes everything," Tom says as he strolls over to the sofa across from the bed and takes a seat. "I'm here to claim the Le Fay Lord ring, as you've probably guessed already." Ghost Morgana nods in understanding. "I told her that you were dead. She didn't believe me, so I summoned you." The end. Hearing Tom's explanation, Ghost Morgana's mouth dropped open. "You summoned me," she says with a hint of awe in her voice. "How?" "I'm the master of death." Tom answers plainly. "Huh? That story was true?" she asked in shock. Although she wants to call her descendant out on his bullshit, Ghost Morgana can't refute his claim. How could she do so when she's standing here right now? She's dead after all. "Yeah, I collected all the hallows and whatnot," Tom explained further. "Did you meet Death?" she asked curiously. "Yup, fun fact, Death is a woman," he says, causing Ghost Morgana to smile. "Girl power and all that." "Wow," Ghost Morgana muttered. Although Morgana is dead, that doesn't mean she has met Lady Death. Almost none of the souls collected by Death even know of her existence. Only the ones that pique her interest will ever know. Tom sits there for a moment, giving both Morganas time to process everything. Imprint Morgana, who is still coming to terms with her death, and Ghost Morgana, who just learned that the story she heard as a child was real, and the man before her is the master of death. After a few moments of waiting, Ghost Morgana was the first to come back to her senses. "You're my descendant? I really lucked out, huh?" she says, happy that one of her descendants has come so far. Never in her wildest dreams did Morgana think that someone from her lineage would surpass her in power. To be able to summon the dead is a powerful gift, and she doesn't even know about all of his other privileges. Suddenly, an evil glint appeared in Morgana's eye. Looking over at her imprint, who seems to have come to terms with her deathly situation, an idea forms in her mind. That same idea seems to also appear in the imprint Morgana's mind, as a matching glint shines in her eyes as well. Tom noticed the looks exchanged between the two of them and was about to say something, but he wasn't fast enough. Suddenly, both of the Morganas broke off into a sprint at one another, smashing into each other. Except they didn't hit each other. Instead, they seemed to merge into one another, causing a bright light to shine from their location. As the light died down, Tom could see only one Morgana standing there. The two of them became one being, and she looked exactly like the imprint Morgana, except she wasn't dressed in a nightgown anymore. In fact, she is completely naked, without any of the ghostly transparent features. What did you do?" Tom asks as he tries sensing where she stood. Instead of feeling the bit of magic from before, Tom now feels the soul of Morgana along with a lot more magic than before. Feeling how powerful she has become, Tom went on guard and stood from his place on the couch. Before she was just a soul and an imprint with very little magical ability. Now she seems to hold triple the amount of magic compared to Dumbledore and Grindelwald combined. "We merged." Morgana reveals exactly what Tom thought. Neither of us liked the idea of being dead. Especially, ghostly me. She had to spend a lot of time in some very unpleasant places in the afterlife. All right," Tom says as he isn't sure whether he has to worry about a fight or not. Sensing Tom's plight, Morgana tries to ease his worries. "You have nothing to worry about. I'm stuck in your new Lord ring, and won't be able to leave. Well, unless you find a way to get me out," she says with a pleading look on her face. "That's not happening," Tom thought as he processed what she just said. "Did you just say my Lord ring? Does that mean I passed the trial or whatever?" "You've more than passed the test. You blew through it with ease. Anyone that can command death itself, or herself as you've said, is more than qualified to become Lady or Lord Le Fay in your case," she says as she struts over to Tom's side and holds his arm between her naked breasts, not at all bothered by being exposed completely to him. Tom's male brain shuts down for a moment as he feels her breasts rub against his arm. "We'll talk about this later." Seeing as he completed what he came there to do, Tom willed his consciousness back to reality and disappeared from Morgana's grasp. You can't run for long. This marks the end of part 30 of the story, I'm Voldemort. Thank you for listening. Please like and subscribe the video to listen more. Hit the bell icon to get notified of all the new content uploaded to the channel ASAP.